All right. Hello, everyone. We are live. All right. Welcome, guys, to our weekly immigration live updates. I will be with you today, going over what has happened in the past week in the world of Canadian immigration, as per usual. Um, I'm Kay Wilson, for those who are joining us for the first time. I am the lead immigration consultant with Northern Connections Canada Immigration, and we are located here in Regina, Saskatchewan, Canada. And from our location here, we serve you in many different countries. And so, if your goal is to live, work, study, or visit Canada, then I can assure you you're in the right place. And that's something that we specialize in. All right. So, without further ado, I'm going to jump into some of the highlights that I want to share with you guys today. All right. So the first one I'm going to touch on is the Express Entry. Of course, Canada's flagship programs are in the Express Entry system. So we had an Express Entry draw back on March the 2nd. The situation continues where the draws are PNP based. So 1,047 PNP candidates were invited to apply for permanent residence. So these are candidates who are in the Express Entry system and would have somehow received a provincial nomination, right? Whether it be directly from within the Express Entry system or otherwise, right? But they have an Express Entry profile. They would have been nominated by a province. They would have gotten an additional 600 points on top of whatever their base score is. So the lowest ranked candidates that was selected, their score was 761, which means that prior to the PNP nomination, their base points was 161, right? So that happened back on March the 2nd. And just yesterday, British Columbia, who tends one of the few provinces who has weekly draws. So BC had a PNP draw on March 8th, so that's yesterday. And in this draw, they invited two draws actually. So one draw, there were 191 invitations to apply that were issued, and the second draw was 13. And the candidates were selected from various categories. Like I always mention, with the PNP programs, there are varying categories under which candidates can apply and can be selected for permanent residence in Canada. So the categories were the skilled workers category, international graduates, the express entry and semi-skilled workers category, as well as the express entry skilled workers and the express entry international graduates. Usually the international graduate streams are those who have studied in Canada for a period of usually 1 year, right? So at least a year generally. These are usually the international graduates, and being an international graduate or an international student in Canada, as I mentioned previously, this pathway rather opens up other avenues for programs that may not be accessible to candidates who are outside of Canada. So that's one of the benefits of pursuing further studies in Canada. So in this draw as well, they held a separate draw. So ITAs were issued to some candidates who have NOCs under 0621, which BC tends to do most times. So 0621, which is retail and wholesale trade managers, and 0631, which is restaurant and food services managers. So those are going to be one of the easiest, I would say, right now in terms of areas or NOCs to find employment in Canada, right? So a lot of these candidates would have had employment, some of them anyways, some of the categories. So that would be one of the key areas to focus on in terms of job search right now. The services or the hospitality sector tends to be one of those sectors where the skilled labor or the labor force is lacking, and so employers are looking to recruit from overseas. All right, and then I am gonna touch on the well, as everyone knows, about the crisis, the war that's happening in Ukraine right now. And so Canada has actually introduced new immigration streams for Ukrainians who are looking to take refuge basically in Canada, whether that be permanently or temporarily, right? So they have come up with different streams. I think some of them will allow those Ukrainian nationals to relocate to Canada for up to 2 years. They have organized a Canada-Ukraine authorization for emergency travel. So that's between the government of Canada and the government of Ukraine to allow Ukrainian nationals to come to Canada and to be able to obtain open work permits where they can work in Canada and, of course, be in a safe place until all of this dies down. So that's an accommodation that the government of Canada is making for Ukrainian nationals. And then the next one I want to mention is the Atlantic Immigration Program. So the Atlantic provinces, which are Nova Scotia, New Brunswick, Newfoundland and Labrador, and Prince Edward Island, right? So those 4 provinces make up Canada's Atlantic region or maritime region. That's what they're called. So they have together the Atlantic Immigration Program. It was previously an immigration pilot, and it's now the immigration program that's been made permanently, and it's now open for applications, right? Under the newly designed program. It has been such, so it was previously a pilot running for a few years, and because of the success of the pilot, the government has decided to make this program permanent, right? And so the program will create a pool of candidates, and this would include both candidates who are inside and outside of Canada, right? So both candidates who are in and outside of Canada, and it will provide them with an opportunity to apply for permanent residency. In addition to being able to apply for permanent residency, these candidates will also be able to apply for employer-specific work permits, right? Because a key requirement of the program is to have a job offer, right? So you'll have to find a job offer with an employer in the region that's participating in the program or who is willing to register for the program to support your employment. All right, so that's, like I said, very, very successful program over the years, which is why they have decided to make it permanent. The population in the region has been greatly increased over the last little bit because of immigration, and that's the goal with all of these programs. All right, and then finally, I'm going to touch on Saskatchewan, which is where I am based, right? So Saskatchewan keeps, they introduced a healthcare pilot recently, hard to fill pilot. Like Saskatchewan has been doing a lot of things to attract immigrants. And so they have also recently announced, they launched it on the 7th, so March 7th, they launched a tech talent pathway, right? We've seen Alberta do it earlier. BC has a tech pathway, Ontario has one, and so Saskatchewan has launched a tech talent pathway. And the aim is to ease critical labor shortages in Saskatchewan in the tech sector and to connect tech talent with employers in the province who are looking to hire. And it's open to both workers, or those who are in Canada currently, as well as those who are outside of Canada. There is an express entry pathway, so it's similar to the Saskatchewan International Skilled Worker Stream, where you can choose to apply through the express entry system or outside of the express entry system, right? And the requirements are exactly the same. The difference being, one, you would be required to have an express entry profile, where the other you would not be required to. With Saskatchewan's program as well, you'll find that the language requirement would be lower than what you would be required to have in the express entry system, right? With express entry, you'll need a CLB 7, whereas with Saskatchewan's programs, it's usually between CLB 5 and CLB 4, which are pretty low. So this tech pathway would require applicants to connect with employers. So tech employers in Saskatchewan who are looking to hire, and be able to obtain or secure employment with these employers, and they would provide what is called a job approval letter. So this would be a letter that you would need to use to apply for permanent residence. So this program as well will also assist with applying for a work permit. So you can apply once you have been nominated. That nomination certificate will usually be accompanied by a work permit support letter, and that's your authorization to apply for a work permit to come to Canada while the permanent residence application is being processed. All right, so very exciting program. There are a few occupations that they have listed. So they have computer and information systems managers, electrical and electronics engineers, computer engineers, information systems analysts, database analysts, software engineers. They have computer programmers, web designers and developers, computer network technicians, user support technicians, information system testing technicians. And it's very likely that as the program evolves, additional NOC codes will be added. So like I said, if you are working in the tech sector or have tech experience, because you don't necessarily have to be working in that position currently, but once you have that employment history, so the history of working in the specific occupation, and it depends, remember there are different requirements for the program. So reach out to us if you need help in determining whether this might be a good pathway for you, and if you potentially qualify, even as it relates to your job search, right? For Saskatchewan, you'll find that with the programs that are available here, I've been able to place a lot of candidates, but sometimes the employers are looking for a specific talent, right? So you may be searching for employment in your field, and it may not be readily available right now. So it depends on the field that you're working in and where your experience lies and what employers are looking for at that specific time, right? And this will change over time. So it will be great to have a strategy, do your research, connect with employers, connect with those who might be able to help you on that pathway to permanent residency or to secure employment in Canada. And then also target specific regions where the labor shortages might be more acute. Of course, your resume sells you. That's what will generate your first interview, right? So absolutely, you want to make sure that that is up to date and is in the correct format as is required in the Canadian labor market. So those are just some tips for you guys. Very exciting news. Lots of different programs coming up on the horizon. And guess what? A lot more people are looking to come to Canada. So it is also getting even more competitive. So you have to definitely ensure that you're standing out and that you're doing as much as you can to increase your points and to ensure that your profile is solid. Even if you are applying, if you find that you are eligible and you're applying, it's not a guarantee that your application will be approved, right? There are requirements of each program that you have to meet, and you have to demonstrate how you meet those requirements. So there's a lot that goes into it as well. So if you have that opportunity to be selected or to be given an offer, ensure that your application is solid. If you need to get professional help with reviewing that, that's going to be very important. Like I said, I've seen people who have been nominated. They applied, the application was rejected for reasons that were avoidable. Sometimes it might be selecting the wrong NOC code. They're different reason, but those, that usually is one of the most common reason why applications sometimes tend to be refused. Like, as it may seem very simple, but the process of selecting your NOC and ensuring that your employment reference letters are matching very closely with the NOC codes that you have selected, especially if you have worked in multiple positions, then it gets even more tricky. So that's just one general tip there. I'm going to wrap up. Thank you guys for joining. If you are looking for support with your immigration application, reach out to my team and we'll be very happy to assist you. Usually that assistance is starts with scheduling a consultation with us. That way we can have a better understanding of your situation, your background, and can provide you with informed advice. We'll be able to ask relevant questions, and then we can come up with a strategy, a plan, a roadmap for your immigration. All right. And for you to be able to support you with achieving that goal of coming to Canada. So thank you guys for joining today, and I will catch you again next week. Take care.